I'm back. Let's go. Welcome to Last Chance Q with myself, Coach JB and Sean Salisbury.
We will not talk over the amateur or under the expert.
It's not only the X's and O's, but it's about the Jimmys and Joes.
And it's not just quarterbacks. We got all the positions, teaching, coaching, laughing, and joking.
We're using football terminology so we can get through this faster than we don't want to use these long terms, Coach. We got quick verbiage to get to the point. Last Chance Q with the great legendary Sean Salisbury. What up, man? We're in the building. My main man, Jeff Nadu, and myself. Sean Salisbury is ill. He's got a little bit of ammonia. I've called him every bitch in the book this morning, so trust me. He's actually in good spirits. He's been in the hospital for about 3 days. He thought he had something worse, but he's only got a little bit of ammonia, a little bit of lung fluids in his lung. He'll be back next week as normal. So just giving you an update. Jeff and I got this, and we're going to break down all things NFL and a little bit of college from yesterday. We'll talk about that and going forward for next week, give you guys a few picks. What up, Jeff?
What up, Coach? Obviously, get well to Sean. We'll miss him this week, but you and I will break it down.
Hell yeah. We'll get it. He'll be all right. He's been burning the candle at both ends, and he's got his own show he does for 4 hours. He thought he had something. He thought he would fight through it like all of us do, and then he was like, man, Thursday, he was like, I got to go doctor. And so his girl took him to the emergency room, and they said, nah, you got fucking walking ammonia. So he had to sit it down for a while. So he just getting back home today and in bed. So he's like, hey, I go, man, chill. We got it. It's all right. So we'll see Sean next week. This is our, third week in a row now, right, of Last Chance Q this year. We got a big slate. I'm not super excited about it, but it's a slate that I think we won't want to talk about on that end. On the other side of it, college football, Jeff, give us your thoughts real quick of the college football weekend. I can't wait for our show tomorrow to lead into that one because I've been saying it. College football in general is as bad as I've ever seen. I'm going to save a lot of these thoughts for tomorrow's show because it'll be big. But, man, it's either like a 70-50 game or a fucking 14-9 game. There's just no more good. Everyone thinks it's parity. No, it's not. It's bad football. It's watered down. And I'm just telling you, I witnessed some things yesterday, Jeff, that I can't wait to talk about tomorrow. But I think once we started paying these players like we are, you're starting to see guys turn down a lot of shit. And I mean turn it down on the football field. They're not interested in tackling no more. They're not interested in running to the ball no more. I've seen a lot of shit that's going to be interesting tomorrow to show it on the game on the show. But I'm telling you, it opened my eyes.
Well, let me ask you, have you ever seen a game that had 1,228 combined yards? That's 70-50. That's an insane game. I mean, I watched it. And you want to know what's crazy? I had the under in that game. One of the worst bets I've ever made. Like, horrific bad. But I don't know where that came from. JMU had not looked good all year. North Carolina looked really good, but that's the problem with early games. They play weak competition. Shout out to Colorado. You know, you look at that game, the difference in the game, JB, was the quarterback position. I mean, Baylor just isn't good at the quarterback position. I'm surprised we didn't see DeQuan Finn, the other quarterback for Baylor, but Colorado, you got to give them credit. Big win. You know, we'll talk about them when they play well. We'll talk about them when they play bad. They obviously, tied a game late. That's a big win. Very big win. They needed that game because I talked about how tough their schedule is coming up.
Yeah. I don't know if that game was won or did Baylor lose that game or did Colorado win it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting to talk about tomorrow. Back in the day, I'm trying to think. I've had an 800-yard game, the most at least when I was coaching. I don't know if it's been broken or not. We had 801 yards offense in a JUCO game when I was coaching. And then Alan Hancock had, I think, 650. So we had about 1,400 yards offense in that game. There's been a lot of other games that I've seen. Back in the day when we had the air raid, the run and shoot, June Jones era of Houston, Hawaii, what he did at SMU, other places. There used to be the David Klinglers, Andre Wares. Then we saw Louisiana Tech at the time when they went through a few quarterbacks that were putting up ungodly numbers, but it was all throwing the football. They used to put up 600, 700 yards passing.
I remember, and I looked this up, in 2016 when Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech, Connor Holiday was at Washington State, I think, or somewhere. But no, it was Texas Tech someone. That was a high-scoring game. I'm pretty sure it was like 1,700 yards. So I guess there's a lot more than we think.
Yeah, they've had it. They've had it. But the issue is, man, it's just it's a different ball game now. Like this game is just not. It's not good quarterback play. We see these yards and shit, and we're like, what the hell's going on? You see this quarterback. We watch it, James Madison. We watch it, North Carolina. We watch these places.
Yeah,
played it. You see the Cam Wards of the world. Well, they've also played it 3 other places. This is just a different era, man. Different game. It's different, man. I'm just going to be honest. It's very different.
I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to seeing Jackson Dart at Ole Miss play a real team because he has put up a lot of yards. That receiver core is nasty. They drop 50 like it's easy. And I look, if you like betting on college football, Lane Kiffin's the guy you want. With 20 seconds in the first half at the 12-yard line, he's going, trying to score a touchdown, 90 yards away. So that's a team I'm looking forward to seeing them play a real team. Penn State put up 700 yards, I think, yesterday. That was a big that's a good offense. We'll see what they look like against a real team.
We'll see. There was several games. Michigan ran the football and threw the ball for 30. They threw the ball for 32 yards.
Yeah, their quarterback plays bad, man.
And they beat SC. That's the Lincoln Riley that I know right there. That's the Lincoln Riley that I talk about all the time. Like, I'm just telling you, man. They lost that game, Jeff, on offense.
Yep.
USC lost yesterday on offense. They had the ball with that 2:30 left or something, and they threw the football when all they should have did was run it and punt it, and they would have wasted about 45 more seconds on the clock. Instead, they throw 2 shovel passes and incomplete passes and stop the clock. And I'm sitting there with Steve Kim watching it, and I'm like, what in the fuck are they doing? Run the football and just punt it and leave Michigan, who can't throw, Jeff, with about 45 seconds on the clock to go 80 yards.
Yeah.
And it makes 0 sense. And they don't flip the – we saw it last night with Deion Sanders. Doesn't flip the field. It should have cost him the game. It didn't. He didn't punt it. He went for it. Baylor scores literally 3 plays later. They take that lead and just – hey, I'll give it to Shedeur Sanders in Colorado. Resilient effort. I'll tell you like that. They were resilient to get it done. But I'll break that whole game down tomorrow.
I'll give you some credit. You called BYU. Very good call by you. I don't know what happened to Kansas State. They went up 6-0 and then got outscored 38-3 the rest of the game. Also, I mentioned Jackson Dart. He is, to me right now, the favorite to win the Heisman. All right. Again, that can change. He's played nobody. Okay, it's very early, but him and Cameron Ward look like the 2 front runners right now. But there's
where do you at? So here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take a hot take right here. In my opinion, if we don't consider right now, let's say Colorado's 3-1, so he should be in a consideration in Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter and the running back at Boise State,
Genty,
if they're not 1 and 2, in my opinion, right now, then we need to change the game and change the Heisman Trophy award name to just quarterback. Because let's be honest, we just need to change the name to quarterback. Because the Heisman winner it should be these 2 guys that are playing better than anybody else, and it's those 2.
Well, but let me ask you, and this is why, like, I don't disagree with how they put you in the running. You're right. Quarterbacks generally win. Number 2, though, and this is just how it should be. Colorado is not going to be a national, top 4, top 10 team, top 12 team. They will not be relevant when this is important, and neither will Boise State. I could see Boise getting an invite. Like, he'll get invited maybe, but he'll never win. right? Because again, not a quarterback. I remember maybe about 10 years ago, Keenan Reynolds was at Navy. Kid had an unbelievable season. I mean, he was unbelievable. Actually got invited to the Heisman Trophy. Didn't win, though. Had no chance to win. Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, they're never going to win. Hunter is elite, but he's not going to beat out like the Quinn Ewers and the Dylan Gabriels and the Jackson Darts in the SEC. It's just that simple. By the way, Oklahoma, you ran Dylan Gabriel out of town for that?
I told you. That Oklahoma team is not good.
Jackson Arnold.
I told you guys that's not a good team. Here's my other take. Nico at Tennessee. Them and Ole Miss have a similar resume, but now Tennessee at least played a Power 5 program last night at Oklahoma with a defensive-minded guy who's won a couple natties at Clemson as a defensive coordinator, and at least they didn't allow Tennessee to score 70. It was only 25-15, but if you watch the game, as we watched yesterday in here, it was an ass-whooping contest. Like, Tennessee dominated them up front. Tennessee had some blunders in the red zone. They should have scored. They didn't. They missed a couple opportunities. The game should have been 42-10 minimum, in my opinion. But 25-15 at least was a Power 5 program, an in-conference program. And I called it yesterday. I thought Tennessee would run away with it because Tennessee's used to playing in the SEC. Oklahoma's not. And Oklahoma got a different speed last night. They got that box checked. They got a different style of hitting. They got that box checked. If you watch any of the hitting that went on yesterday, two guys from Tennessee absolutely obliterated a guy from Oklahoma running on the sideline. They said, "Welcome to the SEC, bitch." That's what it looked like to me. And I called that because there's an acclimation process and period to everything. And I think Oklahoma, even Texas, even though as good Texas looks right now, Arch Manning didn't look that great yesterday. I gave him about a C. Threw 2 picks versus Louisiana Monroe. Josh Booty's nephew, General Booty, was a quarterback for them. I looked at that game and like, okay, they're going to have some hiccups as well when they got to go play some dogs. And Jeff, I also called, not to pat myself on the back, but I did call the upset pick of the week to cover, and that was Vanderbilt, Missouri. Yeah. And Vanderbilt should have won the fucking game.
They should have.
But damn.
They should have. I had the over in that game. Overtime got me the over. And yeah, I'll tell you what, Clark Leah's got a good team down there. They're gonna give a lot of teams problems. But I'll tell you right now, understand what you're about to see in the SEC over the next 10 games. Okay, 9 games. You've got Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss. I mean, you got Missouri kind of hanging there. LSU. I mean, look at the Big Ten. You got Ohio State. Penn State looks legit, right? Oregon. I mean, this is great, man. It's going to be awesome. You got a lot.
I love Urban Meyer. I think Urban Meyer's top 5 college coach of all time. I put him and Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, and Bear Bryant. I either put a Shem Beckler in there, a Bobby Bowden. There's a few guys that I would put in there. But I got to be honest, Tom Osborne, probably Nebraska back in the day. There's some guys that I would put in the top 5. My top 5 would be interesting if I broke it down. I'd have to think about it. I might have to do it this year. But I'm going to be honest, Jeff. That Ohio State team is not the best team I've ever seen on paper. I'm just going to be honest. And that's just my opinion. You can call me crazy because Urban said that this is the best team he's ever seen and all this. If you're not very good at quarterbacks, Jeff, you're not the best team on paper. When USC was rolling teams from the SEC, when they go down to Arkansas and beat them by 50, and go down to Oklahoma and beat them by 50, and go down to Auburn and beat them by 50, they had a fucking NFL quarterback all the time. Even when David Booty was their quarterback, they had the most talent around them. This Ohio State team's talented, Jeff, but I'm just telling you, they shouldn't have been struggling with a Marshall team for about 3 quarters. I'm just going to be honest, and they haven't looked that great this year, and it's because the quarterback play is so fucking bad.
Well, listen, I'll chalk this up, and I mentioned this in this game yesterday. I think Ohio State's just kind of bored at this point. They have played nobody. That's 4 straight games of nothingness. They didn't play a Tennessee or an Oregon or something like that. They had a bunch of Akrons and Marshalls. I just think they kind of are disinterested. They did win the game 49-14, but look, I know we don't want to bring this name up because of the end of his life. Joe Paterno has got to be in that list you just mentioned. Yeah. Joe Paterno has 409 wins. That will never be eclipsed, ever. Okay. 409 wins his career. The next closest is 346, Bobby Bowden. And we know how good he was. I mean, I know Joe Paterno, again, he allowed some bad things to go on and definitely destroyed his legacy. From a coaching standpoint, though, 409 wins. You can't look past that.
Yeah, no doubt. Man, shout out, man, to give you guys a little bit of unfortunate news. Bailey, I'm going to send it to you in the private chat if you could put it in the thing. This is a guy that a lot of people in here probably older guys will probably know who this is. Legendary guy back in the day with the Dolphins. But Mercury Morris passed away. Shout out to Mercury Morris. If you guys don't know who that is, let me see. Turn my camera down, Bailey said. Let me see. I don't know what that means.
RJ.
My fault.
No, you're good. I just saw the private chat. Bailey, go ahead and throw that in there. Mercury Morris, Jeff. This was his son that posted this. 77 years old. Probably the OGs in the chat know who Mercury Morris was. Mercury Morris was unbelievable, man. He had a hell of a run. He was the 1972 undefeated Miami Dolphins legendary player on that team that went undefeated with Don Shula. And he passed away apparently, I guess, this morning or late last night. So I just saw it and wanted to share that. But he was on the only perfect team ever, Jeff, to actually go through the whole thing. I know
couple of Pro Bowls, one couple of Super Bowls.
Yeah, he's a legend. Even though New England went 18-0, they didn't win the whole thing. So this is the only perfect team ever.
Yeah, that's I mean, you can say that. I mean, we've seen teams get close, but it's never happened,
Yeah. Rest in peace. We'll say that for tomorrow, Bailey. But yeah, Jeff, we got an interesting slate. I got to ask you though, staying on the college thing for a hot minute, and we'll go back. We'll go right now to our picks. But SC, another disappointing team. This is again, mediocrity is the new excellence, man. And I'm going to tell you, Jeff, right here, because it's a football show that we do. I talked to Steve last night, and I'm going, have you figured out the common denominator, Steve? And Steve's sitting there thinking, looking at me. And as smart as he is, he's looking around. And I go, can we please break down the common denominator? Jeff,
Lincoln Riley.
LSU is the common denominator this year. They're not very good. SC beat them, and everyone thought SC was for real. Then SC goes and beats a fucking Utah State team. Guess what? Guess what Temple did to that same Utah State team last night? Put up 50. The same amount of points SC put on Utah State. The common denominator here is LSU. LSU is not a very good football team. SC beat them, struggled. UCLA is tied with LSU yesterday going into the fucking third quarter, Jeff.
But we look at the same common denominator as well that this team has issues with year after year is defense. I mean, they give up 290 yards on the ground. I mean,
who?
USC.
Oh, I mean, it's unbelievable.
I mean, listen, people are going to say, well, they only had 33 yards and one through the air. They don't need to throw the ball. When you can run for 300 yards, you don't need to. Ask Navy. You know what Navy did yesterday? They went, like I told you they would on your show. I told you Memphis would have a problem in that game. You go on the road after a big win against an ACC program who should have been in the Final Four last year. You beat them. Then you go on the road and lose outright as 10-point dogs or 10-point favorites to Navy. When you can run the football, you don't need to throw. And again, USC cannot stop anybody.
And we can do this common denominator thing all day long. And listen, I want to be honest. Common denominators are a real thing, but common opponents are not. As far as this, what I mean, let me clear what I mean. SC and LSU game, you can't really compare it to UCLA and LSU. All things are different when you guys actually play each other, okay? I just want to be clear. That's not a real thing. But what it is true, when you look at these teams, the common opponents that don't play each other but played common opponents, Memphis played who? Florida State, and pretty much dominated them. Navy pretty much dominated Memphis last night. That kind of tells you where Florida State is right now and a team like Cal Berkeley, who traveled 3,000 miles and only put up 9 points. College football, Jeff, is just not fucking very good. I'm just going to be honest. But it's better than the NFL. That's the crazy part. That's where we are, Jeff. That's where we are.
I mean, I think, again, it also – you mentioned the quarterback play, but they had 410 yards, Cal, and scored 9 points. I mean, they just can't – I mean, guys, by the way, another thing, a major – and this is no secret, but some of the – did you see that field goal that the kid from Vandy shanked? I mean, it's a 31-yard kick. It looked like he couldn't make a 6-yard kick. What
about Baylor? What about Baylor?
How do these guys get these jobs? Yeah.
What about Baylor? I mean, I don't know if I've seen – last week on the show, I said Colorado State's defensive coordinator and defensive scheme was the worst I've seen. Baylor outdid them. Baylor was the worst I've ever seen by a football coach that makes as much money as Dave Aranda. And I've known Dave a long time. He's right here from 5 minutes away from me. Grew up right here in Southern California. Let me tell you something. For a defensive-minded guy to be a head coach, and I'm telling you, it's light years apart, Jeff. The head coach and the coordinator, it's just not everybody needs to be a head coach. I'm just telling you. That defense last night from a defensive-minded head coach was the worst I've ever seen for about 6 different series. And we're not even going to talk about the last play where the 2 safeties are almost out of the back of the end zone for some fucking unknown reason, and why they aren't at the fucking goal line, which is an unknown reason. Because if they're at the goal line where they're supposed to be, Jeff, that ball's either picked off or batted away, and the game's over. But they're 9 yards deep coming up the field, and I'm getting text messages by a bunch of NFL buddies of mine, Eric Weddle included, who played the position, is like, why the fuck are you behind the receiver in the back of the end zone on a Hail Mary? There's nothing worse than bad football, Jeff. I got to be really honest. There's nothing worse than it.
Well, I know someone like you probably gets irritated when you watch some of this shit. I mean, even myself, I've never played football. I've never pretended to be an athlete. I don't, it's not my thing. But you watch some of these guys, like when there's a fumble and they try to pick the ball up and run with it, and then they don't get the fumble because they try to pick it up and run. Just fall on the fucking ball, man. Like, I get you want to try to make a big play. Guys, also, you mentioned Baylor, coach. Guess where they are in terms of touchdown rate in the red zone? They're one of the worst in the college football ranks. They've been in the red zone 12 times, have just 4 touchdowns this season. You can't bet on teams like that. You want to look at why some teams do well? Texas, they've been to the red zone 23 times. They have 21 touchdowns. Indiana, they've been really good. They're great in the red zone, right? You got to be good in the red zone. And again, if I was a football coach in college, which I am not, I would never kick field goals ever. Yeah. The kickers are that bad. But
listen, there's a game last night, Jeff, that we could talk about 2 nights ago, Friday night, Nebraska, Illinois. Nebraska shit the bed. This is the thing. That was a bad coach game by a good friend of mine who's a great coach. I love him to death. I think he's a program builder. But Coach Rule shit the bed in that game. It was some bad coaching, man. We've seen some bad coaching. And I don't think it's just strictly because of bad coaching. I think it's because coaches are hamstrung by what's on the field and who has to be played because of the NIL, the bag catching era we're in, and all these prima donnas, enabled and entitled kids. We have to adhere to them in this player empowerment-led generation. I think it hamstrings a lot of coaches who before would have said, fuck you, fuck this, sit down, shut up. All that's changed now, Jeff. Now it's a fucking debate. Now it's an actual conversation with 17-year-olds about what the fuck I know. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah. And I saw that with Matt Rule the other day. I saw it in his fucking eyes. I'm like, he does not want to do this. And he had to do it. And Illinois beats them on the road. Illinois beats them in Lincoln in front of the 400 straight sellout. And I got to be honest, that's a great environment and all that shit. But this is why Nebraska won't ever get over the hump and be the old Nebraska. The Tom Osborne. They got to win those games, Jeff. I
told you with them, and this is where I get irritated with groups like Nebraska, because it's always we got to start including them in things, and then they never win the big game. And they did it with Colorado, and it's like, okay.
But Colorado's just not very good.
But then you lose games like, but then you lose games like this, and it's like, all right, well, I guess you're the same Nebraska. You're 100% right. What do you say we get into some NFL, Coach? We got about 45, 50 minutes. I know you don't love the slate, but doesn't mean we can't make money.
Let's do it. That's your. Let's you lead this one today, because we'll get through all this. We miss Sean's yapping ass. He's watching right now from his bed. Bitch, you should be here, but he's got pneumonia and he's dying, but he'll be all right. He'll be back next Sunday. That's my guy. Let's start with the morning.
Now, Coach, you know you wouldn't be here if you had that either.
Yeah, I don't want to say that because Sean's not a bitch. Sean's a fucking trooper, so I know he'd be here if he could. And I would like to think I am, but if I have something that bad, I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna be here. Now, if Bet US or somebody out there threw us a little bag, Jeff, we probably would be here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to everybody. Hey, shout out to our sponsor though. You see this ticker behind me? Jeff Nadu will have one behind him as well. And we'll have one at our studio. I'm going to try to get one to all our daily guests on the Coach AB show as well. This is by Skybox. You can go check them out on Twitter and Instagram. They actually are proud sponsors like of Pat McAfee, Gilbert Arenas shows, Shay Shay. They do a lot of different shows. So head on over. You can get a ticker. If you're a man cave guy or if you're a coach, a high school, college, junior college, you want the ticker, you can customize these things. You can do whatever you want. They also have the stock market. You can have the stocks on there, NASDAQ, and you can have their own it has everything. You can also customize it. This can say the Sit Down Crime Pod, sponsored by. It could say the Coach AB Show with Big Smitty. It also has the lines on there, as you will see. So it'll be great for Jeff and betting. It'll be great for our show on Sundays. And head on over to Skybox. We'll get an ad read and everything next week for it. Once we got it, but shout out to them. They reached out. They wanted us to show it out, and I'm going to get it to Jeff as well as he does so many bets, and he can customize it. And anyone out there, I'll get you a promo code. I'm not sure how much it is, Tyler. I'm not sure, but buy one just because I said so. All right, let's dive into this. This early slate, Jeff. Go ahead. I know the 10 a.m. games are in about an hour from now. One on the East, and we have. We got a seven game slate in that early morning slot. So go ahead, Giants, Browns. You want to dive into that one?
Yeah, we could start there. The first thought on this game is, look, I mean, is it crazy to think most of these games are low scoring? I mean, as you've talked about time and time again, what do we know about this game? We have two quarterbacks that I'm not interested in at all. I don't like. We have two offenses that don't really create big plays. We've got two defenses that are strong. I like the under. I played the under. I like the under.
38.5?
Yeah, I still think that's a bit high. I don't know if sometimes you could put these totals low enough. I mean, it opened 39. People come in and took the under. It's now down to 38. Even some 37.5 I think will pop up. 38.5 though is widely available. You can get that number. We've seen the Giants, and we know the Giants are one of the worst teams in the NFL. Their quarterback plays a disaster. I think this is first to 20 wins. I think it's like a 17-13 type of game. I'm going to just go on what I know, and I don't think we're going to see these teams running up and down the field as far as tempo. What are the Browns on offense? They're throwing the ball 40, 50 times. That's not Deshaun Watson. That's not the Browns. I like the under in this game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Can they get Neighbors the ball? Can Daniel Jones get Neighbors the ball again consistently? Do they have enough other people around them? They don't really have a running game. They got to get a tight end involved, in my opinion. They got to start extending the defense gap-wise. They're going to have to extend it and give him another gap, protect him a little bit better. He's still getting hit like crazy up front. Listen, they're just not a very good team right now. They're probably bottom half of the league, of course. And then the Browns. This guy has lingering issues hanging over his head, obviously, another allegation. I mean, I don't believe this guy's ever going to get over and be able to play free and clear. And if he's justly so, Jeff, if he did the shit, then guess what? You shouldn't play clear and free. So it is what it is on that. I just think this guy's never going to be the same. I said it 3 years ago when it all came out. I'm like, there's no way this guy's going to be the same player. And Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't be shocked if the NFL suspends him going forward. That's the talk right now.
You got to wonder why they did this contract. Just a bizarre decision, strange decision. I'll also throw out from a standpoint of who wins this game. I don't know that the Browns should be nearly a touchdown favorite to anybody. I don't know if they're good enough. That said, I just don't know that the Giants can move the ball, as you alluded to. They have a playmaker or two, but again, if you have a Ferrari but no tires on it, I mean, what can you do? So I think I think this is a low scoring game nonetheless, and I'm going to play the under.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a 24-21 game at the end of the day, and jump over that 38.5. I wouldn't be shocked if it gets there,
sure.
But I also wouldn't get shocked if it's 17-14 either, because we're seeing the NFL, Jeff. The NFL scoring is down. Quarterback play is fucking atrocious. Offensive production is atrocious. 69 touchdowns through fucking 2 weeks is the worst it's ever been. I mean, this is what it is. I don't see it just miraculously getting better when the Browns meet the fucking Giants. So I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna fucking tote with that over and under though. I'd probably go over on my end. I'd probably go 41 if I were to bet. If I had to make my own line, I would probably put it at 41, 21-20 type of game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen. When you bet unders, it's difficult. I mean, you don't want scoring, obviously. But, again, I think the Giants are just that bad on offense, and the Browns have showed me very little as well.
Yeah, very interesting. I got to see this. I got to see something, though, real quick. I want to see because that's why this ticker is legit. It's up to Wi-Fi. It's up to date. It gives you the injury updates. And I just saw something tick across it. I'm trying to make sure, is that real? Because, Jeff, I saw something, but we'll hold it and see if Bailey can find it, and then we'll talk about it during that game, Bailey. We'll pull it up during that game we bring in. Oh, okay, he is. Let's dive into this next game, Jeff. Packers-Titans. Malik Willis, I believe, is getting the nod. Let me transition, Jeff, real quick, and I want to be clear here. There's been several teams that have inquired about Bryce Young. I would think as a general manager, and I can't wait to talk to Weddle tomorrow, who's dabbled in that space in the NFL. I would think they're wanting there. It's not shocking to me, Jeff, because first of all, you have some teams with injured quarterbacks, so you got to get a guy in there that at least has taken some snaps, and then you got some teams that are probably saying, you know what? I'll give these guys a Chico stick and a string cheese for a young Bryce Young, who we saw play at Alabama, who we saw with this horrible roster and owned by the worst owner in sports. And if this guy's played for 3 coaches in 1 year, 3 coaches, Jeff, in 1 year, Bryce Young. They got rid of DJ Moore. They got rid of his best players, and then they put him in this bad roster. If I'm an NFL owner, I can see why people are probably trading for him.
Yeah, but I would also say, to your point, Dave Canales is a guy who's done some really good things with quarterbacks, right? Baker Mayfield. If he can't in a year or so get through to the kid, he can't improve him. I mean, does the situation change a whole lot? I get you're right, though.
It's not a year though. That's the problem. It's been 2 weeks, and it's been actually a spring, and I don't. Yeah, think we can do that. Watch how good. I'm gonna tell you right now. Watch how good the Red Rifle or whatever plays today. We're gonna end the show with our bold predictions, and I'm gonna tell you right now, he's gonna be one of them, and I'm gonna tell you why. But we'll break that down. But Jeff, just real quick, not to cut you off. What teams, if you're out there, you know the landscape of things in the betting world. What teams would take Bryce Young? Dolphins? Do they throw a 5th and a 6th rounder just to get him for the season to get through this?
Yeah.
Is he better than what they got in Skyler fucking whatever his name is?
Here's the thing, though. And we just have to call a spade a spade. Alabama quarterbacks just don't do that well in the NFL. Sorry. I mean, there's maybe one in your Tua. There's a possible maybe in Jalen Hurts, but they're not particularly good. I mean, they've over the years very much struggled. But you're right. I think a team will trade for him, right? He's got another shot somewhere else. And then, in a year or two, maybe it's like, okay, well, he just isn't good. See ya. But yeah, I think the Dolphins, someone like that.
Would you take? See, if I'm Green Bay, and now if Jordan Love's coming back next week, cool.
Yeah, you got to.
But if I'm Green Bay for a 5th and a 6th or something, I would think about taking him because Malik Willis is not the answer long term if he has to play more games. If Jordan Love gets hurt again later on, knock on wood, then he's got to be out 4 or 5 weeks. I wouldn't mind getting a Bryce Young. If I'm Miami, I'm either going after 2 people right now that's available: Bryce Young or Ryan Tannehill. I'm bringing Ryan Tannehill back.
And it could change because we know that there's historically through the first couple of weeks been a lot of injuries. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, let's say someone gets hurt for the Rams or like a Matthew Stafford or a, God forbid. I'll tell you who, maybe you take a shot. I mean, would like Vegas, maybe them? I mean,
The Vegas. I'll tell you right now, though, I'll take Bryce Young over Will Levis all day, every day.
Yeah, we're about to talk about Tennessee. Here's the thing. I really like this team, Tennessee. I just don't like Will Levis. He has single-handedly lost his team games. In both games, he is the reason. He is the culprit. And we have your coach on the sideline saying, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing in the red zone there? What were you trying to do there? We're not playing Eastern Kentucky here anymore when you were at Kentucky, or Penn State when you were playing Kent State. We're not doing that anymore. We're playing
I'll tell you right now, I know Bailey's helping us with the show behind the scenes. He's a Titan fan. He's shaking his head. I'm telling Bailey right now, I'd take Bryce Young over Will Levis all day, every day. I think I would say the Titans would be what Jeff thinks they are with even Bryce Young at quarterback. I'm just telling you, there's a difference. This guy is big arm, small head. I mean, that's what it is right now with that program. Let me tell you, I'm gonna throw something out there, and I can't wait for tomorrow's show. But if I'm the Miami Dolphins, Jeff, think about this seriously. Why would you not throw like a 5th and a 6th rounder to Pittsburgh right now for Russell Wilson? Why would you not give Russell Wilson those wideouts in Miami in warm weather for the rest of the year? I would do it tomorrow. I'm just telling you right now. Why not?
Yeah, or I mean, you kind of take their temperature, see where they're at. They seem kind of steadfast in wanting to I mean, Justin Fields maybe. I mean, if it's whoever they don't want as their starter. I hear you. I agree. They got to do something. But maybe they figure, if Tua's going to be back. But you can't expect that because he's always hurt. No. Right? By the way, one other thing with being hurt, I'm about, as far as college is concerned, Cameron Rising, does it matter if he ever plays for Utah? They never lose, it seems like. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They'll start literally some guy off the fucking street at ShopRite and they'll win the game. Pretty amazing.
Hey, the head coach is legit. They run a program, Jeff.
Yeah.
They have a program. Doesn't matter who goes in there. That's the program. They run that program. They're in that culture that has the philosophy and ideology of the head coach. They're not. That's what they do. And that's what they do.
He is the. I will say, and we'll go back to the NFL. But I was going to ask you. You would agree? If I need one coach in America to be my coach, it's him. Like he is terrific.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely one of the top
I'm taking him over anybody.
Yeah, he's definitely top 5 in the country. And I'm going to ask Weddle tomorrow, but there's rumors out there about some things there in Utah. So I'm going to ask him about him there. He could be on there.
But I will say, right, and I told everyone last week, I liked the Packers last week. They got the job done, won the game outright. I mean, they're getting 3 again here. And I'm going to say to myself, why are the Titans 3-point favorites? They're in every game they play close. And they've been on the losing side of these close games. I can't trust Will Levis. And until Will Levis proves that he can go and win a close game and not do something stupid, I'm going to keep going against him. Did I bet this game? No. But if I had to, I would lean on the Pack here. I just would. I can't bet Will Levis.
Me too. It's interesting to see how LaFleur manages Willis again today. Willis, I think, was 12 of 14. He managed them beautifully. I thought it was the best coach game of the year so far by LaFleur with a backup guy like that. Running the football, Josh Jacobs, I think it's a heavy dose again. Jalen Reed, I believe, is healthy. He's going to get the nod. Receiver, I think they throw him the ball and some play action stuff and RPO stuff. I think that the Packers win this one as well. The other early slate, Bears, Colts, Jeff, could be the fucking toilet bowl at quarterback. This could be 2 just horrific. We might see the 2 worst played quarterback play we've seen all year long. I could see this being a horrific football game. 43.5 over under, Indy -2.
Yeah, I like the Bears here. I think this is a game where I think we've seen some positives from the offense. I know you're not a big fan of Caleb Williams. I think defensively, I've also been quite surprised at Chicago. I think they're better than we think. I do not think the Colts are good defense. As you alluded to, Anthony Richardson just throws the ball up at times and hopes for something good to happen. I think their defense is bad, as I said. I actually think the Bears get off the schneid here and get a W. Again, it's not going to be smooth sailing always for him, but like I'd much rather have him over like who we just talked about, Will Levis, Bryce Young. I thought at times Chicago looked okay against the Texans. I lean Bears and I lean under in this game. I think it's another.
I got to be honest, Dad, I can't wait. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, but I want to talk about it here because it's an NFL show. We do a pregame show, and I got to give you some NFL insight other than just my show. And I'm going to say it right now. I told you guys the Bears should have kept Justin Fields. I was on that heavy. I was on that for the last 8 months. I said they should have drafted Alt at tackle. I said they still could have got a receiver. They already got Keenan Allen. They already improved with DJ Moore. They already had Swift at back. They already were better on offense. Keep Justin Fields. Go get Alt. Instead, what do? They don't get an O-line. They don't address it. They go get a receiver and a quarterback in their top 2 picks in the draft where they had 2 in the top 7, and they go piss it down the legs and get a rookie quarterback with the same O-line or even worse than an experienced guy in 3-year Justin Fields, and now they're in the same spot they were before Justin Fields got drafted 3 years ago. Make it make sense. This is a bad ran organization. The Chicago Bears should be fucking ashamed of themselves. They should have kept Justin Fields, like I said. They should have got Joe Alt. And look how good he's doing right now. He's only locked down 2 of the best pass rushers in the NFL in his first 2 games. And I'm just telling you, this could have been a much better team right now with Justin Fields and Joe Alt. And still maybe got Odonzi or another, or maybe even could have got Brock Bowers. They could have improved themselves tremendously.
Yeah.
Instead, they've taken a fucking back. They've digressed once again. And now in 3 years, we're going to be talking about Caleb Williams is a bust and who we're drafting at quarterback.
You're not wrong. I mean, their issue is up front. And as we know, if you don't have the trenches figured out, you will get destroyed in this league. I think you make a very interesting point. Joe Alt's being compared to Hall of Famers. Again, you would have still had the 9th pick or 10th pick, I believe. You could have got a whoever, a Brock Bowers, maybe a trade back. Who knows? You're not wrong. I haven't necessarily seen it yet, but compared to this game, though, when I'm just looking at this game, I think they get the job done here. I think this is a rough game to watch. I wouldn't bet it, but I lean Bears.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Colts to get off the schneid tonight, today in this morning one. It's at Lucas Oil in that dome. Ball travels. The ball leaves your hand different. Caleb Williams is looking to get out of the pocket. He's not going to be able to do that on the edge there in Indianapolis. I think the Colts I don't believe the Bears are a steadfast run the ball team. So even though they got to know that's the Colts' weakness, Jeff. Hey, they can't stop the fucking run. But then the Bears don't really heavily run the football. So I got to see what's going to give today. I think the Colts win at home and get their first win. And this is where Caleb Williams really starts to show you that he is the bust I said he was. Texans, Vikings, another early morning slate. Very interesting one. In Minnesota, again in a dome or open dome, whatever you want to call it. C.J. Stroud, as good as he's looked, has not had that breakout game yet. And for some reason, even though Minnesota is much better on defense than a lot of people give them credit for, they are very good on defense, by the way, that a lot of people didn't say. I said this 6 months ago. I said the Minnesota Vikings are better on defense this year. Be careful what you're talking about. They're very good. C.J. Stroud, I think, has that breakout game tonight, though. I think they get Tank Dell going. They're figuring out this offense, how many weapons they have, how C.J. Stroud now is understanding how I can spread this out. I think Tank Dell gets a couple big plays today. I would bet him on your DFS today if you can. You can get him cheap, $5,500, I think, on DraftKings, on Prize Picks as well. You can get him. I would take Tank Dell heavy in that game, and Nico Collins is a little banged up. I think they'll probably focus on Nico. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Diggs, Tank Dell, and Mechie get the ball more than not, and then Mixon being injured. I think they're going to throw the ball more than they usually would. So I think that CJ breaks out. I think the Texans get the win. But don't be shocked if it's a shootout, Jeff. I can see a shootout here with two good defenses because Sam Darnold is playing as good as anyone. Justin Jefferson is a threat at all times. And you have a running game in Aaron Jones, who's also a threat out of the backfield. I can see this game being a shootout of any game this slate.
Yeah, there's one thing I really love betting in the NFL is underdogs. I really, really love betting home underdogs. I like the Vikings in this game. I'm going to take the Vikings. I think what we saw last week from Houston, can they break out offensively without Joe Mixon? He didn't play last week. They didn't look that great, right? You mentioned they can't run the ball, right? So you got to throw the ball in this game. That's what they're going to do. the defensive coordinator, the coaching at Minnesota is improved, as you alluded to. They've been pretty good defensively. I also will tell you, in his career, CJ Stroud has been a betting favorite 10 times. He is 3-7 against the spread. He's not good in this role. They are better in an underdog role. You throw in the fact that you're on the road here. Minnesota's got plenty of playmakers as well. Also, Houston, penalties are a problem. I mean, they're one of the worst teams so far in the NFL as far as penalties per game. Had 12 against the Bears, really hurt them. I like Minnesota in this game. I'll take +2. I think they continue to play very well. They were really good last week.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I take Houston, Jeff's taking Minnesota. That's why you guys got to make your own call now. We're giving you some insight. We're giving you breakdowns. I'm giving you the football side. Jeff's giving you all the analytics on the betting side.
I'll just also throw this out to people that are gambling. This line opened Minnesota +3. Sharp, smart bettors immediately took the 3 and it went down to 2. So if you want to back the sharp side, the smart side, it is on Minnesota. But again, Houston is the better team. That's not how the NFL works, though, sometimes.
And Nathan Chalmers, Mixon had 150 on the ground in week 1. They can run the ball. Did you not?
Yeah, but he's not there, dumb fuck.
We just broke it down. We
said
they're going to throw the ball more now. He's not playing. They're not running for 150 yards because he's not playing.
You fucks don't listen. Yeah, when he's in there, that's the point. That's what I'm trying to make. Without him, they can't run the ball. Stupid.
All right. Fuck. Dumb. All right. Eagles Saints, your Eagles. I think this is the year that Jalen Hurts gets exposed. I said before the season, I don't think he's very good. I like that he's progressed fundamentally and technically. I think he's done some things mechanically as a quarterback, but I don't think he understands that you can't just escape the pocket every fucking time and expect to win. And I think we see this guy run the football. We see guys like Shedeur Sanders last night. We all went, oh my God. It was backyard, schoolyard football is all they run in Colorado. I'm just going to be honest. We'll break that down tomorrow. But that's what you see in Philadelphia, too. You see it in Philadelphia. You see a lot of backyard football. He escapes the pocket way earlier than he has to. He has clean pockets to step into it. He doesn't. And he wants to leave the pocket for whatever reason. Listen, I don't know how good this Eagle team is. They're definitely not as good as they've been, in my opinion. The Saints are better than we thought. But again, this is not a team in the Saints that I'm very comfortable with because they're so inconsistent at quarterback. Can Derek Carr be this guy for 3 weeks in a row? That's been the question mark I've had his whole career. I've seen 2-week runs with Derek Carr thrown for 350, 400 yards. I've seen this Derek Carr. I never doubted his arm talent, his skill, his accuracy, throws a pretty ball. Derek Carr has a big-time skill set or he wouldn't be in the NFL. But that's also still lacks the it factor when it comes down to consistency. He reminds me of Jared Goff, Jeff. And the big lights turn on, he gets really, really small. And I don't think there's any difference here. I can see this being I can see him shitting the bed again in Derek Carr. I'm not sold. This is a pick-em game for me. Pick-me game for me. I'm not sure, Jeff, where you are in this one. I want to get your take before I make one.
Well, I think in the NFL, you have to use what you have seen against, and what recency bias is that the Philadelphia Eagles stink. They have no pass rush. The quarterback plays bad, and you might be correct in all of them. That said, if they won that game Monday night, so Saquon Barkley catches the ball, they just run the ball and get a first down. The Eagles this is probably a pick 'em. The look-ahead line in the summer in this game was Eagles -3.5. They're now 3-point dogs. This is a major overreaction. I think you had a great breakdown. Can Derek Carr, because this is a big game, big barometer game for both teams. The Eagles really should be 2-0. They're not. They're 1-1. In Philadelphia, the sky's falling. But what I think will happen here is last year, I don't know if you remember this, Coach, the Philadelphia Eagles played Miami in Week 7. Miami had been rolling offensively, just put up 70 against the Broncos. They came into Philadelphia, and Philadelphia shut them down, held them to 21 points, won the game by double digits. Something tells me that happens today. You know me. I'll go against the Eagles if I have to. I think this is an overreaction. I think this game at worst is a close game. I think the Eagles are right there to win the game late, and I actually think they do win this one. I think New Orleans is brought down a little bit from where they are. Heavy, high temperature. Also throw in Derek Carr does melt, laying points. He's not very good in that role. Neither is Dennis Allen. I think this is more of a pick 'em. I'll take the 3 points with the Eagles.
Yeah, interesting. After hearing that,
the Eagles need to get to the quarterback today. Vic Fangio needs to stop screwing around. You need to find a way to get to Derek Carr. You cannot allow him to – any quarterback, you know this, Coach, any quarterback that just sits back there and can pick people apart, anybody can do that in this league. The worst quarterback can, but they got to get some pressure. And you know, Coach, look at this chat. There's a guy called Drunk Monkey here. People like this are the exact people I want to bet against, whatever they think, because they're the public, they're amateurs, they don't know how to gamble. Everybody believes what he thinks. Eagles are horrendous. Right. They were in for about 30 seconds. They were really bad. They should have won the game. They didn't. I'm not going to pretend, though, that they're not still good on paper and can go down and they're professionals. They will win the game today. Watch me. Watch it.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way because they just haven't played I don't think they put together really a complete game. I don't know. I'm curious to see what this turns out to be. I want to see this Saints game, this Saints team put together some good teams. I know they beat a Cowboys team that we think's better. You've said is better than your Eagles. You think offensively and defensively.
Let me ask you though, because I heard a lot of people before the season telling us how the Packers are a playoff team with Jordan Love. They're really good. Eagles went in there and dropped 34 on them.
Yeah.
In Brazil and won the game, by the way. So, it's funny how all of a sudden the Packers, they beat the Packers and they should have beat Atlanta. They didn't.
Fucking camera I'm struggling with today. Yeah, I agree. That's interesting. I'm going to take the Eagles as well. So we're both on the Eagles today. The other early morning game, this one's interesting. Chargers-Steelers. This is two defensive teams. Chargers are much better on defense than anyone probably thought they would be. Steelers are probably top 3 in the league right now on defense. Patrick Queen addition, which I think hurt the Ravens, but helped the Steelers. You got Justin Fields, who's just not hurting them. I don't know how good he is as far as helping them, but he's not hurting them. So this is going to be a team. This could be a game that they run the football 60 times combined, and you see a lot of old school football, Jeff. This is an interesting one. Herbert is playing, FYI. I want to give that out there. Herbert is playing according to all reports. So where you at?
Yeah, I get why the Steelers are a favorite. They are at home. This is a flip game. It's a pick 'em, essentially. You're giving them 3 points for being at home. Keep in mind, though, the Chargers didn't go back home. They stayed on the East Coast. So I don't know if travel is really a big deal here. I mean, if you're going to give me a couple of points with the better team, I'll lean on Justin Herbert. I think he's the difference in this game. While the Steelers are great defensively, I think the Chargers are pretty damn good too. Great matchup in this game. You mentioned Joe Alt against TJ Watt. That's going to be a really big game and a big thing in this game, and it could come down to deciding it. I'm going to grab the Chargers here. I think they are also an underdog that I like today. A lot of people like the under here. I don't know if you could set this total low enough at 36. Could be first to 16 wins. I'm going to lean on the better quarterback, though.
Wow. He's banged up. He's a little banged up with an ankle. I'm curious to see how he plants off his foot, and because I think the Steelers will stack the box and make them throw the football to a very average wideout core. That's just kind of my opinion. I would load the box and make Justin Herbert beat me on a hobbled ankle. And that's Tomlin in a nutshell. That's that defense in a nutshell. I find this to be a very interesting game. But it's going to come down to what Jeff thinks. Is Mike Tomlin overrated in big games and chokes down his leg? And is Jim Harbaugh a top 5 football coach on planet Earth, which I believe he is? Are they going to? How often is Alt matched up with Watt? Is that a negation there? Or is he going to negate the pass rush when he's lined up against them? Or do they put him on the other side? It's going to be very interesting in the chess matches that we see in this game. How much pressure do you see by the Eagles and Patrick Queen, the Steelers and Patrick Queen? It's going to be very interesting, man. Very interesting with this one.
Also, remember, too, I mean, I think, he obviously knows what's best. If he feels good, I think he's probably 70, 80%. That's enough for me. We know they look heavily into people's warm-ups and what he looks like. He looks fine as far as on the field, so hopefully he'll be good to go.
Man, I'm going to take gonna take the Steelers in this one. I think the Steelers winning in like a 13-10 game. Like that's the type of game I could see this being, Jeff. I wouldn't be shocked, Jeff, if you turn this game on in the fourth quarter and it's 6-6.
You know, I that's why, like I said, I don't know if you could set this betting total low enough. I mean, it's 36. That's quite low in the NFL. It, again, might be first to 13, 16, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. We got about 25 minutes for you to get your picks in. And you can go get some DFS picks as well. We'll have all those on our winnable.com/slap picks. Bailey will drop the link. Go on over there and join our Winnable today. We'll have all our cappers and picks in there. All the picks you don't get, we'll have in there, our specialized picks as well. Broncos Bucks, the last morning slate. Very interesting one. I see a lot of money riding on the Broncos here. Is that because of that's just how the game works in Vegas? And I see a lot of people riding with this Broncos to listen. The Bucks didn't play great last week. They beat a Lions team. A lot of you picked to go to the Super Bowl. I get it. But listen, they were out offense by almost 200 yards. The Lions had 450 total offensive yards, almost doubling the Bucks. Where are you at with this? They did not play well. I think the Lions lost that game, similar to how Baylor lost that game last night to Colorado. Where are you at with this game?
Well, I think a lot of people are looking at the Broncos and saying, and this is your classic pros Joes matchup. The squares bettors are going to be on the Bucks due to what they saw last week, and I think the thought is that the Broncos have been a little unlucky. There's a luck rating factor in the NFL. Broncos have been rated the unluckiest team so far in the NFL. Bucks one of the luckiest. I just think it's a little overvalued to take the Bucks here. I don't think they should be 6-point favorites really against anybody. I don't know if defensively they're good enough. We again did see what they did last week, but it is only a 1-game sample size. They're 2-0. They're kind of fat and happy. Broncos, I think, are better than maybe what they've done. They did play the Steelers last week. Great defense. I thought they were okay against the Seahawks. They just have to stop turning the ball over, and it comes down to Bo Nix. So to me, if you're going to give me 6 with the Broncos, I'll lean in here. Something tells me they can go in and win this game. I'm going to grab the 6 with the Broncos here.
Yeah, at some point, Jeff, I since I'm not a Baker Mayfield guy, I think that I
mean, I'll tell you what, you're having one. Why don't you just turn that camera off, bro?
I know, man. No, what it is it's fixed. It's a good camera, but it's fixed, and it's just I got to tighten it after the show. I don't want to fuck with it. At some point, the Buccaneers, Jeff, are going to have that prom date's going to end up being a little bit. He's going to find out that prom date was ran through a few times before he actually took her out, and that's Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. I just
and you know, it's funny you brought that up. He reminds me a lot of Derek Carr. Like he's played well, but like, do I ultimately trust him and want to be on him here? And again, you this isn't just like you have to win the game. They got to win by a clear touchdown here, you know? Yeah. And I think what also makes me want this game as well is that they're throwing out a 6 and saying all the Bucs got to do is win by a touchdown. Broncos stink, right? That's a big. I think this is like a 4 3-point game either way. I think the Broncos play pretty inspired here.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. In Tampa, I gotta see. Tampa's rolling. Godwin's been the actual guy that's getting the ball. I could see a big day by Evans today, and him coming back out and showing and having another 100-yard game. We'll see. The first 1 o'clock game on the West Coast, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, 4:05, 1:05 on the West. Panthers Raiders. Again, the Red Rifle. He's gonna get the start here. Bryce Young era is over for right now. I don't think it's a bad thing for Canales to do what he's doing. I think he's actually protecting Bryce Young. Bryce Young just doesn't look good. He's actually, I think Canales understands their roster is horrific and what he's inherited by an owner that's just probably the worst in professional sports. I think he realizes that. The Raiders come back and have a great comeback win last week on the road in Baltimore. Huge win for that organization. I think the Raiders roll the Panthers, obviously, but I think the Red Rifle will actually throw for 300 yards.
Yeah, this is the first of the 4 o'clock window, so the 1 o'clock West window.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, I've bet Carolina. I bet them the first game, and it was a disaster. Let me ask you, though, would Andy Dalton have made much of difference in that Saint game? I mean,
No.
I don't know. Like, I think we kind of forget, like, the Panthers, yeah, they're not great at quarterback, but they're not really good at really anything else either, right?
No.
I mean, their offensive line's not good. Their defense isn't good. They don't have any weapons. They're just a maligned franchise. Throw in the fact that they're on the road here. Here's my issue with the Raiders. I like them on defense. I think they're kind of tenacious. I love Max Crosby, Robert Spillane. They're a team. They have not blocked well up front there. Their quarterback has been sacked a lot. They are bottom 3 in sacks allowed per game as far as offensive line. I'm not running to bet them either. This is just kind of a lukewarm game for me. I won't have much on it. I'm not going to bet it. I don't want to play it. I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina has a little bit of an injection here and looks a little bit better. But then we have to remember they're still bad on every level. I don't want either team. And throw in Oakland's off of a big win last week. Remember? Kind of a letdown game here. Reminds me a lot of Memphis Navy yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That's a big win for Oakland, man. They were really good in Baltimore late. Now you got to go back home week later, and you got the Panthers coming into town. It's kind of rough.
Yeah. Sean Salisbury wanted us to give his lock pick of the week, by the way, and we'll do that at the end of the show when we come to that game. But I'm going to give you my lock pick of the week, and it's going to be right here, this game right now. Seattle Seahawks are the lock pick of the week versus the Miami Dolphins. Miami traveled 2,700 miles across the country, backup quarterback. They don't play well on the road anyway, even with Tua. So I'm going to take Seahawks, my lock pick of the week. Lock it in. I'm taking them right now. The over-under is 41.5. I could see that shattering 41.5. But Seattle -4, Jeff. Where you at?
Yeah, so the Dolphins, I guess they're going to go with Skylar Thompson here. Look, I think the good thing for any quarterback that's not Tua Tagovailoa is that's a good receiver core, right? You're right in there. You should be able to be integrated right away. I actually agree with you. I think 4 is just too many. This number was originally, I think, 6. Bettors agree with you. I didn't have much here. I still don't love Miami's defense. I think the over-under is probably a spot where I'd look over. I think both these teams get into the 20s. Not much in this game. I don't have much. I think Thompson will be fine, though. I lean Dolphins.
He's taking Dolphins. I'm taking Seahawks as my lock pick. Mark it down. Put it out there. Go on over to winnable.com.
Oh, you're taking Seahawks. I thought you said you liked the Dolphins. My apologies.
No, I'm taking Seahawks to lock my lock pick.
I think it's more seamless than we think. And remember, I've often said I don't care about travel. I just don't. These guys fly on beautiful airlines, their own jets. I don't think it matters.
I just look at the stats as even with Tua, on the road, they just don't play well. They're just not a good team on the road. They're just not. Even with Tua, and especially in cold weather. Seattle's not cold yet, but it's always gloomy and shitty and rainy. Mm-hmm. And a backup quarterback going in there. This is the first thing that you're going to see when the backup doesn't get the ball to Tyreek Shitbird Hill and Jalen Waddle and these guys. And guess what he's going to be hearing? Give me the ball. Throw me the ball right. And he's going to be fucking going crazy on the sideline. Skylar Thompson's going to be fucking ready to shoot himself. And I'm just telling you, it's going to go down. It's going to spiral out of control real quick. That's why I'm taking Seahawks.
Nice weather up there today. 60 degrees, no wind in Seattle. Should be a nice night.
60s, not 86 and humid, though. And that's what they're used to. It's a little different. Ravens Cowboys, big time game of the day, probably, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's on paper. The historically over the last at least 5 years, we look at this game as a Super Bowl possibility matchup. I don't see that this year. I think the Ravens are a bad football team. I've been saying it from the jump. They just cannot mesh that offense. I think that continues today. I think you start to see the demise of Lamar Jackson in front of our very eyes because I think this offense does not fit him well at all. They're trying to appease two different parts of the human body. One in the run in my legs, the other one in my body with Derrick Henry, a 240-pound back that can't get downhill. I just don't think it's a very good mesh. I think this is a horrific blend. And I just think that the Cowboys, after the ass whipping they took last week, in my DFS, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb all day long. I think CeeDee Lamb has a huge day. And I think Dak Prescott gets back on the track because it's a regular season game. I think he had a bad game last week. He'll bounce back. That's what he does. That's why he's never good in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, you got to have back-to-back games that are good every week. Dak Prescott cannot do it. But this is the week he'll bounce back. And I think the Cowboys win here. They possibly win big. And the Ravens drop to 0-3, 0-4. I don't know, what are they, 0-3? The Ravens are in very, very on a slippery slope, Jeff, not making the playoffs this year. And I've called it before the season. I don't believe the Ravens are a playoff team. And this is I think the Cowboys dominate them all across the board this week, especially after Zimmer gave up all that ass last week on defense. He's too prideful of a D coordinator to allow that to happen and not fix whatever was wrong. And we'll get the game film and watch it on Wednesday with Noel Mazzoni and Josh Booty. But I would think Zimmer's going to fix that defense from what they were last week against New Orleans, and I think they stymie the Ravens today in this slate. And I don't know, it's 47.5, Jeff, over under, and Baltimore -1 in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. I don't know. That's a weird combination. Go ahead, break that down.
Yeah, couple of things here. This is a great game, right? One thing I would tell anybody that's gambling, just because a team does need to win doesn't mean they're going to win, right? So they're desperate. They have to win. They can't lose. Oh, no, they can, and they may. There's a 50-50 shot they might lose, actually. First of all, no weather issues. This is indoors, Jerry World, okay? Number one, the Dallas Cowboys cannot stop the run. They're allowing 5 yards a carry through 2 games. Definitely helpful for Baltimore to get back on track, maybe. Use a lot of 12 personnel, get the tight ends involved. Mark Andrews, where you been? Now it's time to come out of the witness protection program. The Baltimore Ravens have been a complete disaster against the pass. They're allowing 8 yards per attempt. Not good against a group that only throws the ball. Dallas doesn't run the ball. They just don't. They're not interested. I think Dak could have a big game here. Dallas hasn't been exactly great against the pass either. I think this is a short track for a lot of points. I think this is 1st to 30 wins. I like the over in this game. Again, 2 teams off bad performances, weak performances on the turf, in Jerry World. Give me 31-28, 28-27, something like that. I think this is a high-scoring game. Over 47.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys money line. I'm going to take them on my pick on winnable. Head on over there. You'll get all my picks, but I'm taking the Cowboys straight out, and I think it might be further apart than you think. I think the Cowboys get out early on them, and I think Lamar struggles to throw the ball from behind, and Derrick Henry's not a back you want to feed when you're behind. Derrick Henry's a guy you give when you're winning the game, and you milk the clock. That's not this Ravens offense. They don't have the right blend in many multitude of ways. I'm just telling you, there's just so many ways that this Ravens team is made incorrectly, in my opinion. My professional opinion, the Ravens team is built wrong. And I'm going to dive into that more tomorrow, but I got the Cowboys today. Let's dive into this game, Jeff. This is the some people are calling it the hospital game. Some people are calling it the morgue game. I don't believe there's a star playing in this game other than Matthew Stafford and maybe Bosa. I'm hearing Bosa's even injured. But you have no Kittle, no CMC, no Deebo Samuel, no Nakua, no Cooper Rush, Cooper Kupp. This is no O-line for the Rams. This is the most banged-up 2 rosters in football. Fact, by the way, it's fact. Dr. Jesse Morris comes on the show on Tuesdays and Fridays. He's already broken this down. There is no 2 teams ever in the history through 3 weeks have had more stars injured to start a season than these 2 rosters. Here's my takeaway, Jeff. Shanahan owns McVay in the regular season. McVay gets Shanahan in the playoffs. It's kind of a catch-22. Who do you like better? These 2 rosters are banged up. Does Bosa play against Matthew Stafford, though, is a key component to this game, because does Matthew Stafford stand a chance against a good pass rush with no receivers? Here's my thing. He'll make receivers great, just like Aaron Rodgers does. They make a lot of average guys. If you haven't seen the stat line, Garrett Wilson was the first-round wideout that ever caught a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. 550-plus touchdowns in his career. That was the first-rounder to catch a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. Crazy stat, right? Matthew Stafford's similar. Other than Megatron in Detroit, He's had to make guys. Look at what he's made in Nakua in year one as an all-pro bowler. Cooper Kupp and Megatron, 2 leading wide receivers in NFL history, seasonal in the history are from Matthew Stafford. Both wideouts are Matthew Stafford's. Having said that, they got a good young rookie they drafted in the Rams. Mr. Snead does a hell of a job in drafts for the Rams. Can Kyron Williams get going, Jeff? Run the football? They're going to have to run the football for the Rams. But having said all this, this is Sean Salisbury lock pick of the week. He wanted us to give you. He wants the Rams +6, Jeff. He wants the Rams +6 as Sean Salisbury's lock pick of the week. Since he couldn't be here today, that's his lock pick. Where you at, Jeff?
Yeah, I love Sean, but I hate to do it. I disagree. I like the other side. Give me the Niners. I think, quite frankly, I think you talked about it. This Rams team currently is bad. I mean, their offensive line is a disaster. If you can't block up front, you're not going to have much go your way. I don't think we talk enough about the fact that their defense gave up nearly 500 yards last week. 489 to the Cardinals. They lost 41-10. They didn't lose 27-23. They got blown the fuck out. Right now, they're just not very good. I think the Niners, look, you mentioned, they have guys out. You're right. But this is why you kept Ayuk. You have Jordan Mason, who's played well. Maybe we see the kid that got shot. I heard he's been running routes at practice. Maybe he's the hometown hero today for them. I don't know. I just think the Rams are bad. I think they're 0-2 because they're not a good football team. Their offensive line's a mass casualty unit. Give me the Niners. I'll lay the 6 here. I disagree with Sean in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Rams too because I'm a Rams fan at the end of the day. +6 seems like a good – I don't think they're going to produce much offense today, either team. I really don't.
The under, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Rams settle down on defense against a team that doesn't have CMC, Kittle, Debo. I think they can focus more on Brock Purdy, the bus rider, not the bus driver. And I just think that's what happens. I think but again, Shanahan does own McVay in the regular season. That's a worry for me.
I'll tell you what, you've been real quiet about the next team we're going to talk about. You've been real quiet about Kyler Murray. Boys balling out this year.
Yeah, let's get into that game. The Lions, Cardinals. I think the Lions get back and get their mojo back, though, after fucking that game up against Tampa last week. I think the Lions show up and show who they are. I think they have a big game. I think Jared Goff throws for 330 plus. I think Amon St. Brown goes nuts. I think he gets the ball to the tight end and James Williams. I think he spreads the ball around. I think the Arizona Cardinals will be playing from behind. That's not where you want Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray will make his splash plays, just as he's a freak of nature out there, but I don't believe I think you'll see a second half Kyler Murray that we always see. They'll be struggling from behind, and I think the Lions win this one big. I'm taking the Lions big on the road in Arizona.
Yeah, I think this is another big time. This should be a fun game. High total, 51.5. 2 quarterbacks that have balled out. Good offenses, 2 defenses that I don't love. When you look at pace in this game, Detroit plays the fastest in the NFL. They run about 72 plays a game, which is faster than anybody else. Arizona's got some big play capability. Marvin Harrison's looked great. What did he have? 4 for 150 or something last week? Very impressive. This is another game that I felt like was high scoring, 1st to 30 wins. I like Kyler. I wasn't real impressed with Detroit last week, but it was just one of those weird games. I think you alluded to. They get back on track here. I think this game is played in the high 20s. I like the over as well here. Great card. You have a bunch of spaced out games. You have 5 games at 4 instead of 3 last week. Yeah. Weird. And one of those games was Broncos Steelers, so it was rough.
Yeah, Jeff. And here's the thing. I want to be clear on this pick I'm making with the Lions, and I wanted you to go back last week and understand something. All you guys out there, listen. The Lions didn't have any issues on offense. They had almost 500 yards still on the Bucs. I just want to be clear. Their offense was moving the ball. Like Jeff said, they had some issues. There's had some weird, ironic situations happen in the red zone and some other things that flipped that game. Or really, the Lions, on paper, should have actually dominated the game on the scoreboard as well. They didn't, and it's all about scoring points. They didn't score enough points because they blundered it in the red zone, but they moved the ball between the hashes and the 20s all day long on the Bucs. I think that continues. I think the Lions just fixed the red zone stuff that they had happen last week. That's why I think they're big. I think they win big.
Well, they should fix it here. Arizona is statistically the last couple of years been near the bottom as far as red zone defense. So, I mean, doesn't this just have the feel of like, 31-27 or something? Like I think this is more in the high 50s than the low 50s.
Yeah, no doubt. The late night game, the evening game, NBC game, Chiefs Queendom travels on the road finally to Atlanta. And they go play at Mercedes-Benz Stadium against the Falcons, a team that looked better last week that we covered on Monday night. I'll be doing that Monday night recap again this week after tomorrow's 2-game slate. We'll break this down in a minute, but I really think the Falcons at home are going to give the Chiefs their first loss.
Yeah, I don't. Pacheco's out. I'll gladly
take. Why too? That's why.
Yeah. Well, that just means that the greatest quarterback of all time gets to throw a lot, which I'm good with that.
Brady playing tonight? Brady playing?
No, Patrick Mahomes. And remember too, I mean, I think we're overrating the Falcons a little bit. Kirk Cousins is still Kirk Cousins. It's a primetime game. Remember, I think that could come back here. This offense, I think, is still pretty bad, even though they did find a way to win last week. Again, I also always want to be on the side of Mahomes and the fact that they do get a lot of calls. It's prime time. This is the only game going on. That's a big thing here. Anything under three or less, I'll be on the Chiefs. I like them here.
-3, 46.5, Jeff. Ooh.
Yeah, I think it's about right. I think on a neutral field, I'd put Chiefs at like 6.5. I think the Falcons are getting a little too much love here, maybe just because of what they did last week over the last minute or two. Yeah. Eagles, I think you made a comment earlier about losing the game. Eagles lost the game. I don't know if the Falcons totally won.
Yeah. Let's go to the Monday night slate. There's two tomorrow night. I hate this fucking shit. I really do. It's unbelievable. One's at 4:30. The next one's at 5:15 on the West. It's kind of crazy. Hopefully you guys all have a man cave. And if you do, head on over to Skybox.com. Check these tickers out. Go get you a ticker for your man cave so you can see all the up-to-date scores, highlights, and injuries. We'll be talking some injuries here in a minute too before we end the show. But Monday night's game, Evan Ingram is out for the Jags against the Bills. Not that it's a big, huge thing in my opinion, but the Bills seemingly have zero stress. Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level. I think he's going to win the MVP. I'm betting that he wins the MVP. That is going to be a bet that I make. So head on over there and make that bet because I'm going to put about $1,000 on it. That's how confident I am with this Josh Allen. I'm not Trevor Lawrence's favorite guy right now, though. He is playing horrific. That team is not very good. In Orchard Park, 65 degrees at kickoff. It's a 7:30 p.m. start. It could get a little windy there, Jeff. I think the Bills run the football with Cook. I think they spread the football out. They run some 1+ run game with Josh Allen. I don't think the Jags can stop it. I think the Jags are struggling on offense. I'm taking the Bills all day long. I think they cover the 5.5. I think they win by a touchdown or more easily. 7-point game, in my opinion. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, Josh Allen looks great. I mean, you got to give him some credit for how good he's been with, again, a lot of young receivers, no real star there. James Cooks ran the ball well. I don't love the Jags defense. I'm just kind of out on Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't gotten enough, I think, kind of slack from his poor play. I mean, we're in year 4 or 5 with him. It's time to start playing better. You got a big contract.
I think it's 4. I think it's just 4. He had Urban Meyer. I think it's 3, isn't it?
Yeah. Either way, it's been enough time where we should know where he is. I'll tell you though, the Bills are. I think one of their deficiencies is going to be on defense. I think they're going to play in a lot of high-scoring games, a lot of games like Game 1 for them. By the way, you didn't say you like this schedule. I think this should be the schedule every week where we have, 5 games at 4, 2 on Monday night. I think it's perfect. I like it. More games.
Yeah, I think that they do the morning slate to me is totally backwards.
We don't need 7 or 8 1:00 games to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's morning for me on the West Coast. Jeff's on the 1:00 game. We have too many in the morning on the West Coast. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. But you're taking the Bills as well.
I'm not taking I don't know that I'll be on either side. I think we see points in this game. I think it's a back and forth fun game. I like the over a little bit.
All right, Commanders, Bengals. Fuck, man. I wish if we do have 2 games on Monday, I wish they were better than these 2. That's all I'm saying. I wish it was the Chiefs, Falcons, and maybe the Lions, Cardinals even, or the Ravens, Cowboys would be a great Monday night game tomorrow. But these 2 games to me are kind of interesting. Bengals, Commanders. Bengals on the risk of going 0-3 like the Ravens are. Commanders are just a bad football team, probably slightly better than the Carolina Panthers, but still pretty much low bottom. Them, the Giants, the Panthers. There's probably the Jaguars could be in that mix. There's some bad teams, the Colts. We've seen some bad football this year. The Bengals, I would have to say, get off the schneid. I think T. Higgins is active. According to my ticker behind me, T. Higgins, I believe, will be active tomorrow night, finally. So you'll have your 2 wideouts back for Joe Burrow. I think that's a mental boost in his head, and I think that gives him, coming off a very, very good, confident game in Kansas City where they should have won that game. I think the momentum is still in the favor of the Bengals, Jeff. I think the Bengals win this one and win it big.
Yeah, I think you have a great breakdown there. This seems like a double-digit win for the Bengals back at home. Washington's defense isn't good. Throw in, there's really no excuse now for Joe Burrow, right? T. Higgins is back. Jermaine Burton's back. Jamar Chase is in there. You got some good depth now at receiver behind them. This does seem like a 14-point win. Here's my problem. This reminds me a lot of Baltimore, Oakland, or Vegas last week, where it kind of looked like a home spot for Baltimore to bounce back 0-2 or 0-1, and they don't bounce back. That's kind of my concern here. But again, we're past weeks 1 and 2. Joe Burrow should get back to where he is normally in. They should win big here, but 7.5 is a lot of points in the NFL.
Yeah. Let's get into some bold predictions real quick. I don't know if you saw we had the injury ticker floating around on the bottom. We had some guys. Dr. Jesse Morse gives us his injuries here. He said he's leaning towards the active and inactive guys. Russell Wilson, we know, is an emergency QB. Just giving you some. The green check marks mean that they're a go. The red means they're out. You see that Mixon, Joshua Palmer, and Jordan Love. You see the Spear. You see those kids are out. And then you got guys like Michael Pittman. I know Smitty's hyped. Josh Downs, Taysom Hill, Kenneth Walker Jr. The third is out, which is a big one if you're a Seahawks fan. Mosert's out. Another reason why I'm taking Seahawks. Kittle, and we've already said, is out. Higgins is in. Tank Bigsby's in. And I think Jordan Love can be an emergency, or he can actually wait another week because I believe they're meat and potatoes of the schedules next week. I believe the Packers go to Minnesota, Jeff. So I would wait. I would wait on Jordan Love one more week if I could. If I'm the Packers.
It says he's inactive per the PackersNews.com.
Yeah, so he's inactive. I would wait another week. I think they play. I think Taysom Hill is out actually. So there's a few things in there. Dr. Jesse Morse does this every hour on the hour, so things change.
Well, they got the Vikings next week. Might be a good time to come back.
Yeah, that's the week I'm thinking. Bold predictions, Jeff. It's time. I'm going to make mine. Drum roll. I think the Red Rifleman, Andy Dalton, throws for 300 yards. That's my bold prediction today. If you want to bet it on any DFS, head on over to Prize Picks. I'm taking it, Jeff.
Look, they're down 31-0. It won't matter.
I know. Here's my thing. I think you're going to see guys, the older guys, play the position how it's supposed to be played. You saw Aaron Rodgers the other night on Thursday play it the right way. You're going to see an Andy Dalton who can't move. He ain't going to run around and all you. He's going to get the ball out on time because he knows his O-line is horrible. He knows that where to go with the football. He's done this a long time. And who's their wideouts? Adam Thielen?
Yeah, Deontay, what's his name? Deontay Johnson, I think.
Hey, Jeff, you're going to see some fucking white-on-white crime tonight, Max Hess. You're going to see some white-on-white crime tonight. The big redhead Andy Dalton's going to throw to Adam Thielen. White-on-white crime tonight. And you're going to see it. Watch. Adam, watch it. Watch it. Thielen might have 100 yards.
By the way, speaking of white, Jon Snow says, does Jeff know he's white? John, unfortunately, yes, I share the same skin color as you. Unfortunately, it sucks. Fucking low life.
Hey, Andy Dalton, 300 yards plus
Yeah.
920. Woohoo! I'm not.
But again, it won't matter. It won't matter if they're getting blown out. Here's what I'll say: a bold prediction: Will Levis will not cost the Titans a game. I think he plays well today for some reason. I don't know if they'll win, but I don't think he's the reason they lose. I'll also throw out the Saints will score less than 21 points today. Bold prediction. It's bold. Don't hold me to it.
That's why we do our NFL bold predictions to wrap the show. Hey, we're about 4 minutes from kickoff from the first slate. That's why this is the greatest pregame show on planet Earth. We go right up to the kickoff. You guys get to make your picks. Head on over to any of your betting sites you wish. We would prefer you to go on over to winnable.com/slap-picks and get you over there right now and make your picks and join our first down package today. You can pay for weekly, monthly, or yearly subscriptions. We have it all. Plus, we'll do videos and have a bunch of other insightful videos on there as well. You can also head on over to my Patreon, and Jeff has his own Patreon where Jeff kills it on all his betting sites on his Patreon as well. We'll get the link up to you on this video when we post it. We'll have Jeff's Patreon link in there as well as mine. So, great show, Jeff. Man, we'll have to get to tomorrow. We'll break down all these things on the Coach AB show with Big Smitty tomorrow morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Pacific, and then head on over to Jeff's channel as well, the Sit Down Crime Pod, and watch him on YouTube and TikTok. It's been a pleasure. Go enjoy the weekend. Go get you a few Dos Equis? Modelo's?
Nah, no drinks for me today. I only drink at night on the weekend, so no, I'm getting some
Saturday
soup.
and Sunday are my days. Saturday and Sunday are my only days I drink now during the week. So Sunday NFL, kicking it right here, watching this new ticker by Skybox, and getting to watch that. Got all the TVs on. We're ready to go. 8 games on, 7 games on at once. We'll have to do it. We got to get Jeff out here. Hey, Corona Del Mar is calling our name, so whenever we want to go, let me know. I'll set it up. We'll come out and watch maybe some winter or fall or spring horse racing. Let me know, and
all right,
we'll do that as well.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Comment, like, subscribe. See you guys next week. Peace.
The last chance cube. Let's go.
And I just cannot wait to bring over 60 years of knowledge and experience to not only the novice football fan, Sean, but to the veteran football coach as well.